Coach Tad Boyle. Coach, will you please start with an opening statement to kick us off for the season, and we'll open it up to questions. Please raise your hand. We do have a wired mic. For those that want to ask a question, just state who you are and your affiliation. Thank you. Coach, go ahead.
Okay. Thanks, Troy. Glad you're all here. Year 15, like Troy said, as excited as ever. Got a lot of gas in my tank still, thank goodness. And really looking forward to this season. It's obviously we're coming off a historic season in Colorado basketball history with 26 wins and 2 NCAA tournament wins, 3 NBA draft picks. So we're really proud of what this program accomplished last year and the players accomplished that were in it. But this is a whole new team and a whole new season. And it's going to be one of those years where I think I'm going to judge myself with this team, not so much on the number of wins we have. We obviously want to win as many as we can. That's how we're judged. We get that. But, you know, the improvement that we make from even when we started practice September, I think 23rd or 27th, whatever it was. You know, today was our 19th practice, and it's October 21st. So I want to see how much improvement we can make from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. And there's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys like every basketball season. Even last year's team, as successful as it was, we had some bumps in the road. We had some injuries to overcome. This team's going to be no different. But I think the ceiling on this team is very high, and I'm excited about the returning players, and I'm also excited about the new ones we got that we signed that are new to the program. So looking for a great year.
Hey, Coach. Pat Rooney, Boulder Daily Camera. 2 weeks out from the season opener today, as you mentioned, been at practice for 4 weeks. What do you know about your team now, maybe the good and the bad, that you didn't know when practice started a month ago?
Yeah, Pat, what I know about this team is they're hungry, and we've got some competitiveness to us. We've played extremely hard in practice. We've gone after each other. There's been times where it's gotten a little chippy in practice, which is as long as it's under control, that's a good thing because you know they're competing and they want to win. And I think you know the fact that we were picked, I think 15th in the, I don't know if that was a coaches poll or the media poll, you know, should put a chip on our shoulder. And I think it's put a chip on our players' shoulders. I know it's put a chip on my shoulder. Look, the Big 12 is a hell of a league, but what I know about this team is we're going to compete, we're going to play hard, we're going to give our fans and give each other everything we've got. And it's important that I do that as a coach with my energy for the 2.5 hours I'm at practice every day or you know, on game night, and certainly preparing as well. So, and we got to play for each other and compete our tails off.
Coach, Adam Munster-Tiger, 24/7 Sports. Good to see you. You mentioned that you still have a lot of gas left in the tank. 15 years in, are the things that drive you different now than when you started here at CU?
That's a good question, Adam. You know, I'm driven internally by, again, every team is a new team, every year is a new year. I'm always driven by how much, again, improvement we can make as a group, and then obviously at the end of the day, you're judged on wins and losses, and I don't shy away from that. I never have, and I never will. But I wouldn't say it's any different. You know, I think when I first got here, it was like, okay, you're at the base of the mountain and you're looking up and you're like, okay, can we get this program to where it needs to be and where we want it to be? And I think we have, but certainly there are more steps we can make. You know, I still would like it to make the second weekend of the tournament. We haven't done that yet. You know, I'd like to win a conference championship regular season. We haven't done that yet. So there's a lot of things we haven't accomplished, but I think just the challenge of every team, you know, given the year you're in and the team you have, to get the most out of them. To me, that's how I judge myself, and that hasn't changed. So many things have changed, but a lot of things haven't changed.
Hey, Tad. Tyler King with the Denver Gazette. Just kind of sticking on the topic of general college basketball. Obviously, Coach Bennett at Virginia retires recently, a legend in the game. I mean, Just for you, I mean, what's it kind of like seeing some of the guys that you've coached against for a long time and that have been peers of yours leave the game and saying things like that they don't feel like they're fit for this current era of college basketball?
Number one, college basketball took a hit when Tony Bennett decided to retire. He's a hell of a coach. He's a hell of a man. I've got great respect for him. I've watched him, and I wouldn't say I know Tony well, but we certainly, I think we have a mutual respect when I see him on the road, and we share the same agent coincidentally. But so I don't have any inside information other than what I've read from his comments, just like you guys. But I think I've thought about it. I think any coach that's in college basketball that hasn't thought about what he just did is probably lying to you. But the fact of the matter is, look, there's still the same amount of players out there that were out there before. There's the same amount of scholarships, at least right now. I don't know if our roster limit's going to go to 15 or not next year. But if we all stay with 13 scholarships, we still have 13 scholarships. It's just the deck is being shuffled, and the way you're constructing your roster is different, each year. And some people have really taken to the transfer portal and believe in it and like it, and others, like myself, we've certainly used it more for graduate transfers than true, undergraduate transfers. But again, I want to recruit, I want to develop, and I want our teams to get better, and I want our players to get better, and I want our players that come here who have the dream of playing in the NBA or playing professional basketball to achieve that dream. I think we've done that over the last 14 years. We're going to continue to do that no matter the landscape. And I've said this before when it comes to, and I hate it when people say NIL, because it's really not NIL. We're paying these kids to play. So in the pay-for-play model that we're in right now, and I know the NCAA doesn't like to hear that, but the fact of the matter is that's what it is. So let's call it for what it is. But in the pay-for-play model, these kids, Tony said it when he retired, I think every coach agrees they deserve a piece of the pie. The question is how big of a piece, and that's for the lawyers and the attorney generals and all those antitrust people to figure out. We're just going to try to recruit kids that want to get a great education, have a great college experience, come to a great college town and a great program, and try to achieve their dreams and have a hell of a lot of fun and a great college experience doing it. And those are the guys we're going to target and we're going to get, and the ones that are looking for the biggest payday are going to go somewhere else. And I'm okay with that. Whether they're in our program and decide to transfer out for more money, hey, that's cool. I want kids here for the right reasons, and I want to coach the young men that have the values that we have as a program. And if they can make some money and hopefully save some money in the process, that's a great thing.
Hi, Coach. Nikki Edwards, CU Sports Report. When we see Bangot this offseason, he looks really explosive, more decisive. What is he bringing to the Buffs this year?
Yeah, Bangot's got that body type where you don't notice, maybe some weight that he's put on or the strength that he's really gained in this offseason. But Bangot, I think, is one of the number of players in our program that's returning that has a chance to have a breakout year. And he was just scratching the surface as a freshman, obviously playing behind some really, really talented players last year. But, yeah, explosiveness is sometimes even an understatement with him. He's a quick jumper. He's got good timing. He's probably one of the best shot blockers I've coached. And the key for him is he's got to be the second one off the floor. And when he's the second one off the floor, he's pretty darn good. If he's the first one off the floor, he's going to be in a lot of foul trouble because he is thin and people are going to get into his body and he'll pick up fouls. But so using the discipline and building the habits defensively, he has a chance to be an elite defender, both on the ball and off the ball. Right now, he's a really good off-the-ball defender when he sees man and ball and he stays in a stance. And he's getting better on the ball as well. But Bangot can have a breakout year, both offensively for us and defensively for us, and that he's got the ability to affect the game in a variety of ways.
Hey, Coach. Tony Casolo, Buffalo's Wire. Long stretch of playing in the Pac-12, and you guys are moving to the Big 12 now. Can you talk about the excitement or challenges that come along with the new conference?
Well, the challenges are obvious. You know, 5 preseason top 10 teams are in our league, and you got a couple others that are top 20 caliber teams as well. So the depth, I've said this before, I'll say it again. You know, when we left the Big 12 to go to the Pac-12, we were leaving a really good league to go to a really good league. Now we're leaving the Pac to go back to the Big 12. We're leaving a good league, or what was a good league, into a very good league. So the players are really good. The coaches are really good. That was true in the Pac-12. It's true in the Big 12. The depth of the Big 12 is deeper, and the venues are much more difficult to play, having coached in both leagues, and that's going to be the big difference. Now, there's some teams, you know, Texas and Oklahoma are gone. Some new teams are in that weren't there when we were there 13 years ago, but hell of a challenge, and we're looking forward to it as a team, as a program, and the time is now.
Hey, Coach, Sean Keeler of the Denver Post. You talked about the ceiling for the team this year and watching that growth. Is Hassan kind of emblematic of that to some degree, and where is his ceiling given what we've seen and where he could come?
Yeah, no, Hassan, he plays with great energy. He competes his tail off. You know, we've got a new kid in our program, Elijah Malone, who's 6'11", 265, who is a beast down low. And in practice, you know, who's going to guard him? And BD's had his chance. Hassan's had his chance. You know, Sebastian Rancic has his chance. Like, we've had a lot of guys. Trevor Baskin. Nobody likes guarding him, but he's going to make Hassan a better post defender. And Hassan can, again, much like BD, can affect the game in a lot of different ways. He may not be the rim protector and shot blocker that BD is, but he can run the floor. He's really worked on his perimeter jump shot. He plays his tail off, plays with great energy. He's a good rebounder, which is something we really stress and value. So, yeah, I think when I look at the returning players, you know, you look at our backcourt, you have R.J. Smith, Javon Ruffin, Julian Hammond, and then in the front court, you've got Bangat Dak and Hassan Diop, and both those guys' improvement is going to be critical for us. But Hassan, again, much like Bangat, can have a breakout year for us in a variety of ways.
Hey, Coach, I'm Jack Harlow with Buffalo's Wire. With your 3 true freshmen, just what are you excited about that group, and how open is the door for them to see the kind of playing time this year?
Yeah, I mean, certainly we're going to need some contributions from our freshmen. Andrew Crawford, you know, Colorado native, has done some really good things here this preseason. I mentioned Sebastian. He is a 6'10". I mean, his ceiling, his talent is unquestionable. You know, you saw in our inter-squad scrimmage, he was, you know, 5 for 5 from the field from 3. He can make open shots. He's learning. All these freshmen are learning at a very quick rate, but it's a little bit like drinking water from a fire hose. I mean, there's a lot of things coming at them. Their heads are spinning. They're thinking right now more than they're playing. But Sebastian and Andrew have done some good things. And then Felix Casares, the kid from Canada, is a heck of a player as well. Good physical guard, wing that can put the ball on the floor and get downhill, make open shots. I think he has a chance to be an elite defender as well. So all 3 freshmen have an opportunity. You know, what are those roles going to look like as we start the season November 4th? That's a little premature right now. We're still in the process of, you know, going through that, you know, as a staff and as a program. But all 3, I think, will be great buffs in the course of time.
Oliver Hayes, 24/7 Sports. Obviously, you've talked about how this season's going to be a week-to-week thing as far as lineup changes and rotation. With a guy like Andrei Yakimovsky started at the 2 the other day, how often do you think he's going to be in that position, and how big do you think his ball handling will be this year?
Andrei's an important piece to our team this year. His experience, his physicality, his ability to shoot the ball, his ability to, you know, make plays. I think his role as a player at Colorado is going to be a little bit different than his role was at Washington State over the last 4 years. I think he is excited about that. We're excited about that. But Andrei's a key to this team. He's got the players' respect in a very, very short period of time being on campus. And obviously playing against him are guys, you know, there are certain guys you play against that you have respect for. There's some guys you play against you don't have respect for. We got respect for Andre, and he's earned it not only from what he's done at Washington State, but what he's done since he's gotten on our campus, and his ability to rebound the ball, shoot the ball, score the ball off the bounce, maybe even be a playmaker a little bit, you know, because he's such a good shooter. They have to honor that and close out, and now he can attack a closeout and hopefully make a play off the bounce. And he's not going to play point guard for us, but he can be a playmaker for us. So he's going to be a critical piece of this year's team, without a doubt.
Pat Rooney, Boulder Daily Camera. Coach Elijah Malone, what have you seen out of him so far?
Yep.
He seems to use his size well and seems to have pretty good touch around the rim as well.
Yeah, Elijah's very skilled for a guy his size. He knows how to use his body. He knows how to swivel and get angles down low. When he gets the ball down low, he can score it. He can pass it, which you have to be able to do because, again, if you're as good as I think he's going to be down there, he should demand double teams. And when double teams come, now he can pass out of it. And, you know, we kind of experienced that last year with Eddie. Eddie was a really good passer for a guy his size. Elijah's probably a little bit better scorer down there than Eddie was. He may not be the passer or have the, you know, the ability to make those behind-the-head passes that Eddie made. But he can pass the ball. He's not a black hole, and he's gonna give us a presence at the rim that we need. He's also going to give us defensively a guy who can match up against another big, strong, wide-body guy and hopefully guard one-on-one in the post, so we don't have to double the post and don't have to dig as hard, and so he's going to be an important piece both offensively and defensively. When he's not in the game, you know, we don't have that big wide-body guy. We got some size and some length, but now we're going to have to probably, against a good low-post player, be doubling the post and fronting and those sorts of things. But he gives us some versatility there defensively.
Coach Round Schools from Ralphie Report. You mentioned earlier this is pretty much a brand new team. What do you think the fans should expect out of this group this season?
The fans should expect an exciting group to watch. I mean, really talented guys that can get up and down the floor. They're going to be a fun team to watch. We're not going to change our style in terms of trying to play fast and, you know, get stops and run and get out in the open floor. So I think they should expect an exciting team to watch. They're going to have a team that's going to be different in the middle of December than it is when the season starts, and they're going to be different in January and different in February. Like, they're going to chance. The great thing about college basketball as a fan, to me, is you get to watch these young men grow into be men, and you get to see the development and see Bangat Dak and Hassan Diop and where they were when they got here last year, and then where are they going to be at the end of this season, and watch that growth and development, but physically, emotionally, you know, just skill-wise, and they're going to lay it on the line. I mean, this team's they're going to compete, and I think as fans who pay good money to come to our games, you know, they want to see guys that are going to lay it on the line for them, and we're going to do that.
Tad, you showed a tremendous amount of faith in Julian Hammond this offseason by not going in the portal and bringing in a guard. Yep. So I guess, what do you see in Julian that gives you that trust, and what are his challenges leading this team into the Big 12?
Yeah, and I would say I would add Javon Ruffin to that mix, because I think both Julian and Javon have the ability to run this team, you know, as a point guard, and certainly they can play together because they're both really good shooters and they can play off of each other. But I think I showed a lot of confidence in Julian and Javon because I believe in them. And I think Julian Hammond has proven, certainly 2 years ago when KJ was out at the end of the year, I think he played 5 games straight and, you know, averaging double figures, took care of the ball against high-level, you know, UCLA and USC, some high-level Pac-12 teams. He's got the ability to do that. So now what Julian hasn't done is he hasn't been able to do it over a 31-game schedule. You know, he battled some injuries last year. But his ability to shoot the ball, his ability to run the team, he may not be the fastest, quickest, you know, jet-like guard, but he can keep guys in front of him defensively. And I would put Ruff in that same category. You know, I think they can run this team, understand what this team needs from them, to win a game, and it might be shooting a three, it might be scoring the ball, it might be getting the ball down low, it might be making a play for one of our other players. They got to be playmakers. I don't expect Julian Hammond to be KJ Simpson, okay, and I don't want our fans to either. I want Julian Hammond to be the best version of Julian Hammond. If he can do that, we'll be fine. He's a good player. If Javon Ruffin can be the best version of Javon Ruffin, again, Javon has not proven it over time. He's been injured. He hasn't made through a whole season yet, injury-free. So both of them, I look at them as a two-headed monster at the point, if you will. And then we got R.J. Smith, who can, back up if need be. R.J.'s a really good shooter, but he can make plays as well. So it's going to be an interesting team from that position. But you're right. I showed a lot of faith in Julian because Julian's shown a lot of faith in us. And to me, loyalty is a two-way street, and trust is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street.
Tad, obviously, with this roster, I mean, you have a couple seniors, a couple grad transfers, and a lot of young guys, a lot of freshmen, a good sophomore class. What's the balance for this team of trying to win for the guys that committed for their last year here, but also trying to develop some of the young guys that are going to be key pieces to this program for the long haul? Yeah,
that's a good question. Look, my job is to win games and win as many games as we can win. And but while we're doing that, we have to develop some of the young guys, and that's what I want our team to understand. We've started talking about it already. After the exhibition game on Saturday, this morning in our film room, we spent 30 minutes talking about self-awareness, understanding what this team needs from you as an individual player, what sacrifice means, and so I think, every game we play, we're trying to win, and I'm coaching to win. I'm not coaching to develop a young guy who may need development. That comes in practice. That comes before practice. That comes after practice. That comes in individual improvement. So we're gonna coach to win. We're gonna play to win. But along the way, if we can help develop guys, we're gonna do that as well. So that's where we got to pick and choose based on our schedule, and we set our schedule for this team. We'll figure that out as we go. But we're always going to coach to win.
Just quickly, I mean, you guys brought in Danny Manning this offseason. I mean, how long have you been hoping to coach with him? Like, how long has your relationship been developing, and what's it kind of like the first couple months getting to actually work with him now?
Yeah, look, Danny and I go back to, obviously, our days as players at Kansas. I was a senior when he was a freshman. I watched his pro career, 15 years in the NBA, #1 pick in '88 after winning the championship. Then I watched his coaching career starting at Kansas as an assistant for Coach Self and going to Tulsa, and then, his journey. So we've certainly maintained a relationship. We're not, we're going on vacation together and that sort of thing, but certainly my wife, Ann, knows his wife, Julie. They're great people. And, once you form that relationship as a player, whether it was 30 years ago or 3 years ago, it's still with you today. And our relationship is maintained, communication. And so, it's not like I've always dreamed of coaching with Danny, or I don't think Danny's ever dreamed of coaching with me. It just kind of happened organically, and the timing was right for him and his career. The timing was right for me and what our needs were for this program. But it's great to have him around. Danny's a very, very soft-spoken, easy-going guy, but he's a very, very intuitive guy. He's a very intelligent guy. Not all former great players are great coaches. Danny's made that transition, obviously, and he's proved it over time. And he brings a lot to the table. And I don't want him just to be, you think about him just as a big man coach. He can certainly coach big guys, but he can coach guards as well. And I look for the same thing in assistant coaches. I've said this before. I look for the same thing in assistant coaches that I look for in players, and that's versatility. And Danny brings great versatility as a coach, and his experience is obviously unquestionable, and his ability to impart that. And the way he does it, I think our players have really taken to that. He's a funny guy. He uses humor, and he doesn't beat him over the head with a stick, so to speak. He's just he's got a great way about him.
Time for a couple more. Eric, go ahead, and then Oliver.
When did you first become aware of Trevor Baskin? How soon after he hit the portal did you reach out to him, and what kind of impact can he have on your team?
Yeah, I mean, we've known about Trevor since he was a high school player. Obviously, Pomona, right down the road. Now he was thin. He was a little underdeveloped physically coming out of high school. Obviously, I don't know if Trevor had any Division I opportunities, but he chose a really good program over at Colorado Mesa, and heard about him. You'd hear, and obviously we had a couple former walk-ons, Isaac Jessup and Owen Kuntz, that went to play at Colorado Mesa, and they would come back in the summer and play, pick up with our guys, and so we kind of followed him, and then when he went in the portal and we knew what we needed, it was kind of a no-brainer to reach out, watch some film on him, talked to those guys, and because I have great respect for both Owen and Isaac, and we jumped into recruiting and got him. So it's good to have a local guy, and I think he's happy to be at Colorado, and we're certainly happy to have him.
I think you played 12 guys in the exhibition. One of them was not Courtney Anderson Jr. What's his status, and what's kind of his expectation for this year?
Yeah, Courtney's had like 6 practices. He tweaked his groin, a couple of weeks ago, and he's just getting back in the fold. He's not, I mean, he looks, I don't know if he looks 100% yet. He's not certainly in game shape. So, we decided not to give him a little bit more rest and bring him along. So, yeah, Courtney's he's a little bit behind because he missed so many practices at a critical point in the year. Like these practices in October really, I wouldn't say they're more important than the ones in January and February, but in terms of solidifying where you're at on the team, and they're critical, and he's missed some, but now he's back. It's good to have him back, and we'll see. Again, we'll see where he is next week. We'll see where he is tomorrow, and go from there.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Coach.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll have Coach Jana Weinberger here in a second, I believe. So.
Yep.
Thanks everyone for continuing to join us today at Learn Sports Media Day. We have Jana Weinberger, who is in, I believe this is her 21st season at CU, second as full-time non-interim head coach, fresh off the national championship. So she'll start us off, and then we'll take some questions.
Hi, thank you for having me. Just a little update on the team. Training so far has been going well for both Alpine and Nordic teams. We did a Buff Classic bike ride in the beginning of September as a team. Our skee ball, our annual fundraiser, was a success. And now we just cannot wait to get on the snow. So hopefully Alpine team will be skiing this coming weekend up in Copper. And Nordic will probably get on the snow the week of Thanksgiving. And then we have some races in November, December, and then college season will start on January 2nd in Alaska for Nordic team, and January 6th for Alpine in Loveland. The goal for the season will be defend our national championship title in Dartmouth, and everybody has been working hard for that. Our biggest change from last year will be losing Magnus Boe, national champion from last year. But I think other boys will step up, will coke. Alpine Nordic team has basically stayed the same. We added Justin Bigatel, who was, I believe he was a US ski team, development team member last year. And then on women's side, both Alpine and Nordic, we lost 2 championship team members each. So there we had biggest holes to fill. And our biggest or major addition was transfer Tilda Bangman, who was an MVP last regular season, both classic and skate. So we expect big things from her. That's pretty much it for update.
Hey, Coach. Pat Rooney from the Boulder Camera. You mentioned wanting to defend your championship from last year. Also, not a ton of losses, but some really key ones for your program. I guess in a nutshell, what has to happen? What kind of athletes have to step up in order for the team to get into position to defend that championship?
So everybody has to do their job, which is perform to best their abilities. We're hoping to avoid DNFs, especially in Alpine, which did not finish. So, and if everybody does their job and skis to their potential, I think we can achieve our goal.
Hi, Coach. Nikki Edwards, CU Sports Report. You're talking about kind of the veterans of the team. When you're looking at your young group, who's really standing out to you and can really contribute this ski season?
Definitely our couple of guys on Nordic side and Alpine side. We have Trey Jones, who just made the USD team. And looking at him, he's been developing really well. So I hope he will make some international trips for US team as far as for us as CU, NCAA level as well. And then, of course, we'll see. I hope that Justin and Ryder Sarchette, they are our youngest alpine skiers, that they can keep their progress.
Skiing has such big sponsorships with the goggles, the gear, the hats, the skis. I'm just wondering, how has NIL impacted your sport?
It has, it has impacted. We are always happy when athletes come in and they have their own ski and pole provider, that company that they work with, that saves us time and money to find them or put them on right skis.
They get affected a little bit by the foreign athletes not able to take full advantage, right?
Yes, so yeah, we do have quite a bit foreign athletes on a team, and they are not allowed to receive NIL money. So they can do that when they go back to their home countries.
Hi, Coach. Thad Anderson with Buff Vision. You mentioned defense of the title, so New Hampshire and Dartmouth is where it'll be this year, right?
Correct.
Curious about advantages or just the sensation of competing at Steamboat, more locally and more familiar, and then the challenges maybe in the difference in geography or location in terms of defending that title.
On Nordic side, Dartmouth has new ski trails, so I believe none of the Western skiers have really skied there before. So that's definitely one of the disadvantages going there. And on the Alpine side, probably the snow on the east is usually icier, so that's disadvantage on the Alpine side. But I think what helps us to go on a sea level, coming from altitude, racing on sea level, should give advantage to us.
I just have one last one, Coach. Roller skiing in Nordic skiing. Like a lot of your dryland training is roller skiing. This past week in Soldier Hollow, some really good results. Can you just talk about how that kind of translates and the importance of roller skiing, and now that there seem to be a lot more higher level competitions with roller skiing kind of in the off season?
Yes, so roller skiing is the way we Nordic skiers train for the season. And the past 2 weeks, U.S. ski team had a camp in Park City, and they do have a roller ski track there. And they had some races there Friday, Saturday, and we had a couple of athletes attending those races, Tilde Bangman, Will Koch, and Hanna Abrahamsson. And Tilde was third on both days, which is great result, just behind Jessie Diggins and Rosie Brennan, who are one of the best skiers in the world. And then Will ended up sixth in sprint, really close together with some of the best U.S. skiers. So great results. I think it don't really correlate exactly to skiing on the snow, but it shows that athletes are in shape and they are moving towards they are trending into the right direction.
Any other questions for Jana? All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.
Seems weird to sit up here by myself. I usually have players on both sides.
All right, we'll get going here with head coach J.R. Payne, entering her 9th season in Colorado. J.R., you want to start with a statement, then we'll go to questions on the mics.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I can't start the day without shouting out our recent grad, Jalen Sherrod, who just became WNBA champ last night. So congrats to her and her Liberty team. What an amazing series, and just, just indicative of how incredible women's basketball is right now. I think for those of us that have coached a long time, like, we've always known how great it is, but for us, it's wonderful to see the world really pouring into this game that we love so much. So excited to be here with you guys. Thank you everyone for coming. We obviously have a brand new team this year with 10 new players and lots of new faces. Everyone's going to need a cheat sheet for the first few games, just until you learn who everybody is. But I can promise you it's a group that you're going to love to watch. We have better depth than we've ever had. We're very longer than maybe we've ever been. And just a very experienced group, not necessarily experienced here at Colorado, but a very experienced group with us. So we're excited for season to get underway, and honestly just can't believe we're here again already. So it's gone pretty quick.
AJR, Kyle Newman from the Denver Post. Nice to see you again.
You too.
So, I mean, you mentioned pretty much a whole new cast minus a couple key returners.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for this year? Coming off some really good seasons. Can you keep the ball rolling? Is it a rebuilding? Kind of how do you see it here?
Yeah, I mean, we have the same expectations we always have, which starts with being excellent each and every day in anything that we do. We were very fortunate to have strong veteran leaders, even though there's not a lot of them. Our upperclassmen being Kendall, Frida, and Sarah have done a great job of not only welcoming and embracing all of our new players, but setting a really high standard of how things are done here, whether that's in the weight room, in the classroom, in our community, whatever it is. And so our new players have all bought in very quickly as far as what's helped us be successful, and we have those same expectations this year.
Hey, Coach. Tony Casolo, Buffalo's Wire. You mentioned the length that you guys brought in, especially in the transfer portal. Can you speak about the size that you guys have accumulated in the post this year?
Yeah, I mean, Jade Masagayo is unbelievably gifted and very long, very athletic. Naimir Du, I think we list her at maybe 6'1", but I'd love to know what her wingspan is because it's significantly longer than 6'1". So she provides great length. Lior Garzon is very long on the perimeter. Jojo Nwore is probably the longest of all of them that can play the 4 and the 5. So yeah, just a lot of, I mean, the goal was to add depth and add size, and we definitely did that.
Steve Silverman, the next coach. The Big 12 preseason poll came out, I think, last week. Had you guys pegged at 9 out of 16 teams, so kind of a middle of the pack preseason ranking.
Yeah.
I wonder if you have any reaction to that. Is it actually kind of a good place to be because it
Sure.
gives you a chance to maybe sneak up on folks rather than have a target on your back?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as coaches, I don't know about other coaches, I don't really care about preseason rankings. I care much more about end of season rankings because that's more indicative of how the season went and where we finished. I think on paper, if you didn't really do your research on who we signed in the spring and our freshmen that we had coming in, I think I would have picked us 9th too, but I know our team much better than most, and so I definitely think we'll finish much higher than 9th.
One more quick one. Speaking of the freshmen coming in, there was another preseason honor. Tabitha was tabbed as the freshman of the year, preseason freshman of the year, and I just wonder what your reaction to that, and is that a nice confidence booster for her and for the team as she begins her career at CU?
Yeah, I think all of us believe pretty strongly in Tabs. Ever since we signed her, before she even got here, we knew that she was going to be a great player for us, not just because she's a great player and a great person, but also just she fits our system very well. She's unbelievably skilled, can pass. She can fill a stat sheet, with assists and rebounds and scoring and defensive work. So I think she's going to be really good, and I think the rest of us, in our program recognize that too.
Hey, Coach. Hey. With so many new faces on your roster, as practice has been going, how do you feel like everyone's been acclimating to your expectations, the offense and the defense?
Yeah, I think offensively is probably the hardest thing because we run a system that is a lot of reading. And, if the defense does this, we do that. If the defense does that, we do this, that kind of thing. And so you really only get that with time. As far as chemistry and camaraderie and trust and all of those things, we've been very blessed with just an incredible group of young women. So that part, which I think a lot of people would be surprised about, came very easily just by the sheer makeup of our players. But the basketball part of it, the offense is the thing that's taken the longest. But we're doing some great things. We have a bunch of players that are very unselfish. So at times we have to sit people down and say, you need to shoot the ball, stop passing up open shots, that kind of thing. But that's not a bad problem as long as they listen and say, oh, great, I got the green light, okay. So we've gelled really well, still figuring out lineups and different types of lineups and, who responds in certain ways in certain situations. I think that's one thing that I'm really learning and trying to be very intentional about learning. Last year's team returned everyone except for maybe one player. And so good, bad, or indifferent, I knew what I was going to get from everybody. When a team went on a run, I knew how Quay would respond. I'd know how Jalen's going to respond. I know how Frida's going to respond. And this year's team is just different. We haven't been through the wars necessarily yet, and so trying to learn all of those things.
In this era where teams can change so much year to year team building, when you get this team on paper, you look at it, you say it's longer, you say it's deeper. Does it change anything you do? Do you look at it and say, oh, this is going to allow us to do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, a little bit. We're always trying to analyze strengths and weaknesses, so where are the areas that we're weak, or not as strong as we'd like to be, and then we have to try to figure out how to make up for those, But with a new team, and I think we're, again, like I was just saying, we're trying to figure out who is who, in the clutch or in the crunch when it matters. And but I think with more depth, I think we can continue to play fast as we've always wanted to do. But again, it's lineups. It's like trying to figure out who plays well together, who's most comfortable with each other, and things like that.
Coach Harrison Simeon, Scobo Sports. Would it be a fair assessment to say that a focus in the offseason would be to find well-rounded players as opposed to some of the teams of past have had some specialized players, some that had well-rounded skills but were more positional? Would it be fair to see that versatility was a focus?
Yeah, that's a great assessment. Thank you. In our system that we run, versatility reigns supreme because at any different time you could have different players in different positions on the floor based on whatever set you ran in transition or whatever entry you called into the offense, things like that. But then on the flip side, teams are changing, as someone just said, teams are changing so rapidly that you need players who can play multiple positions because you don't necessarily know what you're going to have from year to year, or you might have injuries and things like that. So versatility is definitely a strength of this year's team, and I think it'll help us throughout the season.
Coach Ashley Moore, nice to see you again. CU is celebrating 50 years of the women's basketball program. One, how does it feel to be a part of this legacy of obviously making it to tournament 3 straight times, your imprint, and also how do y'all plan to celebrate that this year?
Yeah, I think we're going to try to celebrate it all year long. Whenever we have an opportunity to talk about our past, to talk about our great alums that have played here, our great coaches that have played here. There aren't that many programs that have such a storied history as we do, with our Hall of Fame coach, Seal Berry, All-Americans like Shelley on staff. And so we're going to try to talk about it and celebrate it all year long. It's important, especially with so many new players, that we try to teach them our history, to recognize that we've been to not just 2 Sweet 16s, but many Sweet 16s and many Elite 8s. And we're trying to make sure that we can keep that storied tradition going.
Jerry, I wanted to ask you about a couple players in particular. Kendall Wetta, with Jalen gone, how is she going to have to step up this year and just kind of be more of a scorer and be, the woman that leads you forward?
Yeah, Kendall's been a steady rock for us for years. She came to college ready to play. Based mostly on, she played for a great coach at Valor, and then came with just a mindset of wanting to attack anything in her way. So she's been a great player for us for years. I don't know if you guys noticed, there were many times we played her with Jalen Sherrod last year because they were both very difficult to keep off the court. But definitely Kendall wants to score more, and is looking to score more. And so we've talked about, different ways that she can find herself offensive opportunities. And, I've shared with everyone on the team that she has the green light to be as aggressive scoring on 3 levels as she wants to be. And we need her to do that. So I think she's pretty intent, on being the most well-rounded version of herself throughout her senior year.
And then a couple of these forwards, Nymer, you mentioned, she's got lots of experience. What do you expect out of her? And then JoJo, I know she's had a couple injury seasons. Is she healthy, and what's kind of the status on her?
Yeah, I think Nye's going to be one of our most versatile players on the team this year. I think she can play 2 through 4, can score on 3 levels, can post up, can shoot the 3, can attack your feet. But even as good as she is offensively, I think her best weapon is her defense because she's so long and has just great experience coming from Iowa State and can play a lot of different positions defensively. JoJo is still working her way back to be able to go 100%, has made incredible strides since she's been here, and is one of the more gifted basketball players, we've had here at CU, and that she can score inside, she can shoot the 3, she can run the floor. She's just hasn't played in a couple of years, but if you go back and watch the film from when she was National Junior College Player of the Year as a freshman in college, she's very, very good.
Hey, Jared, Tyler King with the Denver Gazette. Obviously, you guys were building, from when you got here, you were building this program to the run you guys went on the last couple of years with the 3 straight tournament appearances, back-to-back Sweet 16s. How unique of a challenge is this season with a lot of new faces as you try to get back to where you have been and where you're used to being at this point?
Yeah, I think it's just a season of new, like the team is new, our leadership is new, our conference is new. So I think we're just very much embracing all the newness that we're experiencing. So as I said earlier, the makeup of the young women in our program, we could not have a better group of young women in our program. They're intelligent, they're funny, they work hard, they're awesome to each other. Our locker room culture is wonderful. They really are special. And so I think that makes it easier to have 10 new players, on a team. If we had people that were bratty or cranky or whatever, it wouldn't be as much fun. So we're embracing that part of it. And then I think we're all just very excited about the Big 12 Conference, and we recruited several players that came from the Big 12. So I think we'll lean on them a little bit as we get closer, just because they have more experience than the rest of us. But it's a great group, very cohesive group, and I think it's going to be a great year.
Coach, just noting a couple players. Kennedy Sanders redshirting this past season, going through that process. How have you viewed what she's picked up on from the team last season, and how she can bring it to this year's team.
Yeah, Ken is a phenomenal player. I don't know what her ranking was out of high school, and we don't really care about rankings, but she was a highly recruited player coming out of Minnesota, and has an uncanny knack for being able to score the ball. You know, like she's very shifty. She can score. She can shoot the three. She's got great mid-range. Very slippery in the paint, I would say. Like she can get off the defense and finish in a variety of ways. And I think she spent a lot of time last year. One, she was rehabbing. You know, she broke her foot right before she got here. So she was rehabbing most of the preseason last year. And then this spring really took off in her development. I think got very serious about her weight training and things like that. And so she's been a great voice for our new players, and I think will be a great point guard for us.
And then Johanna Teeter coming in from Washington State. You've
Yeah.
seen her as from on the opposing side in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Though last season out with the torn ACL. How have you viewed her recovery and what she can bring to the fold, and especially with the guard room being pretty new?
Yeah, Yo is one, it's Tedare, just so you know. We called her Teeter for 3 years on the scouting report. Now we laugh about the fact that we butchered her name from across the aisle. But yeah, Yo is a great player. She can play 1 through 3 on the perimeter. She's a great shooter. She's one that we always had to worry about where she was on the floor because she's such a great three-point threat. And just has a lot of experience, has played internationally, you know, speaks up, can help coach younger players, and someone that we're going to rely on for the basketball, also leadership.
Good. Hey, Coach. I'm Jack Harlow with Buffalo's Wire. Good to see you. Just curious, with the non-conference schedule, feels like maybe a couple more true road games than in years past. But just what are kind of the challenges that this non-conference slate presents?
Yeah, you know, whenever we're scheduling our preseason games, you're trying to play as many different styles that you can play, mostly so that you're ready for anything, you know, when conference comes around. So, I mean, opening right out of the gates at Wyoming is an incredibly tough challenge. You know, it's a doubleheader. They draw really well no matter what. They return a lot of players. I've spoke with several coaches in their conference that believe this might be the best Wyoming team they've had in many years. So that's a tough challenge right out of the gate with a bunch of new players going on the road. But yeah, we're excited to, you know, to be able to play several true road games, as you said, which we haven't done a lot of recently. Scheduling is very tough. You know, Toriano does our schedule, and it's definitely one of the hardest things about coaching. A lot of people don't like to come play at the elevation, and so it's difficult to get the home games we want. But yeah, we think it'll be a good challenge and good preparation for Big 12.
Coach Roundscholes from Ralphie Report. You guys lost some significant leaders in the locker room.
Yeah.
Who's kind of filling that void, and who are the most prominent voices in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, I think our veterans have done a great job, and Kendall certainly, Frida certainly, Sarah. You know, Kennedy's a quieter kid, so even though she's a returner, we're constantly trying to get her to speak more because she has a great understanding of, you know, what we're doing and what we're about. Johanna's been great as someone that hasn't been here before. We're asking more of her. But I think it's definitely been Kendall, Frida, and Sarah that we've really leaned on in our preseason.
Thad Anderson with Buff Vision. Thanks for the time, Coach. Your opening comments, you know, last night's big show and the boosts in attendance. I was flipping to the record book, and it looks like you might have beaten the all-time record by 5 fans per game, going back 30 years to the record that was set
Here?
previously. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's a +5 over the all-time mark, average per game. Reflections just on the experience last year, kind of the aura of the arena and how that all felt.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. We love to talk about our fans here at CU, and everybody talks about them, whether it's football or us or men's basketball, volleyball. We have great fan support. We just need to continue to grow it, you know, so +5 is awesome. We got to get at least +5 more this year, but I think we play a brand of basketball that is very fun to watch. It's fast, it's skilled, it's team basketball, and so I think when people come to see us play, they realize, you know, what a great team effort it is. It's, as I said in my opening statement, it's really cool to see it growing all across the country.
My other thought or question is on Big 12 conference scheduling. So with the Pac-12 travel partners,
Yep.
one-day turnarounds, that kind of thing. I know
Yeah.
talking with the men's program too. How does this change maybe your in-season, your preparation between games, just the flow of how in-season looks for you once you get to conference, if you know yet?
Yeah, I was going to say, honestly, I have no idea. You know, I actually liked the only one day in between the Friday, Sunday games. because it simulated the NCAA tournament, so I liked that. But we'll certainly take more preparation. We're a team that loves to prepare. We love to scout. We love to feel like, you know, our staff and our players know absolutely everything possible that they can about their opponent. So maybe an extra day of preparation is great for us. But we just roll with the punches. So whatever it is, we'll just keep on keeping on.
JR, you've talked before about. Oh, I'm sorry. You've talked before about how you built this program off, you know, finding diamonds in the rough, you know, players who have been overlooked, like Jalen, obviously.
Yeah.
Looking at your roster, decidedly international flair. You know, Frida, obviously, you recruited out, you know, she didn't transfer. You got some transfers on here. Is that international presence by design? Is that, you know, just finding players who are a little bit overlooked? Why so many, you know, non-Americans on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think for the system that we run, it's kind of a stroke of luck that we ended up with so many international players. You know, and maybe it's not so much international, but experience, you know, people that have had a lot of different basketball experiences, whether that was overseas with their national teams, you know, or someone like Sarah that played, won a bronze medal with the 3-on-3 for Team Australia, things like that. But some of these players we recruited before, like we've known Lior since high school. We've known JoJo since her freshman year at CSI. You know, so players that they are international, but it was more like we knew them from before and we knew they were a great player. And so when they went into the transfer portal, it just made sense for us to recruit them.
Jared, just getting back to the game as a whole overall, you mentioned obviously Jalen winning the WNBA championship last night after an all-time great series. I mean, what was it like for you to get to watch this summer with the league just kind of exploding? Obviously, the rookie class really helped with that, but then obviously the women's national team with the Olympics as well. I mean, what was it like for you as a fan of the game just to watch how much attention was on it throughout the summer and continuing into the fall?
Yeah, I mean, we love it. As I said earlier, like those of us that have lived in the women's basketball world for a long time, we've known it's great basketball and, you know, all the great things about it, but it really is cool to see the world taking notice now and just such monster numbers, you know, of viewership and attendance and things like that. So I think it's definitely going to continue to grow with, as you said, some of the young talent in the WNBA, and then the great basketball that we're playing in college. So it's fun to see, not just myself, but, you know, my little guy, Jax, is 8 years old, and he loves it. I mean, he loves all basketball, but, you know, he knows Sabrina, he knows Jalen, he knows, you know, a lot of the Kaylin Clarks and Angel Reeses, and so it's fun to see kids getting into it as well.
Hey, Coach. Oliver Hayes, 24/7 Sports. Last year, after Jalen and KJ Simpson both went for their scoring bursts, they both shout out each other. This year, with both teams being having new looks and not a lot of returners, have they had the chance to bond with each other at all, or just your team with the general CU athletic atmosphere?
Yeah, I think our athletic department, led by Rick George, does a great job of creating environments where all of our student athletes can be together. You know, like our dining facility, for example, for student athletes is a space where you can walk in there and see like 2 skiers, a golfer, a soccer player, and 2 football players having lunch together. And I think that's unique here at CU. So I honestly don't know if our team hangs out with the men's team. We pass each other in the halls every day, so I would assume there's some level of camaraderie, you know, but we've always loved to support all of our sports. So I think it'll just continue to grow.
Jared, should we be seeing 7 games in these series in the WNBA playoffs?
I'm sorry?
Should we be seeing 7-game series
I would
the WNBA
love it. I
playoffs?
actually was thinking that last night, like, man, I wish we could go to game 7. But I think they've already upped first round to 7 games next year, haven't they? Wasn't that announced a week or so ago? Yeah.
Another one, you mentioned Jade. She's, you know, had a lot of experience at Missouri State.
Yeah.
What do you expect out of her, and, you know, what can fans kind of expect from her play this year?
Yeah, I mean, Jade is man, she's really good, like really good. I keep telling her, man, if you knew how good you were, if you could see yourself the way I see you, you know, because I just think she has a world of potential. So she's long and athletic and, you know, can rebound, she can defend. I think she's going to be a very significant factor for us this year.
Hey, Coach. Carlos Bryant, DSM. With the move from the Pac-12 to the Big 12, what are some of the competition differences you think you might see, and how do you think that's going to affect your recruiting?
Yeah, great question. I mean, we've always felt like, as much as we loved the Pac-12 and loved being in the Pac-12, we always felt like we were in Big 12 country, you know. So when we went back to the Big 12 for our coaches, we felt like it was a great move for us, you know, for the University of Colorado. You know, we love to recruit Midwest players. We love to have them on our roster. We always say anyone that's, you know, been through the snow or worked on a farm is going to kind of be cut from the cloth that we like. As far as just being tough and having a good work ethic. So we'll miss the Pac-12 tremendously. You know, some of my closest coaching friends are in that conference, and I do think the Big 12 is going to be great for us from a recruiting standpoint, from our fan base standpoint, and I think it'll just continue to help grow what we're already doing.
Coach, you mentioned that, you know, you've got a lot of new faces this year, but several of the newcomers have a lot of experience, transfers coming in from other programs where they played a lot of minutes. And so I'm just curious what your game plan is for getting everyone their chance to get some minutes on the court. Are you specifically going to use the non-conference schedule to try different rotations, different lineups to get folks chances to show what they can do?
I think so. I mean, that's the live stuff. I mean, every day we step on the court, they've been here since July 1st. So since July 1st, everyone's had an opportunity to earn minutes and, you know, earn their opportunity. So, but I think, as I was saying earlier, the one thing we don't know for certain yet, because we just haven't been through any fires yet, is how do people respond when the lights are on? You know, when our opponent goes on an 8-0 run and we went from up 6 to down 2, who muscles up? Like, who's going to dig in and fight for it? Who's going to get big eyes and, you know, and get nervous? Those are the kind of things that are very, very hard to simulate in a practice. Although we are scrimmaging more than we ever have and playing live against our practice players more than we ever have, just to try to simulate some of those things. But preseason will allow for that. So we definitely will be trying to pay attention to everything.
Coach, you spoke on Tabitha earlier, but some of the other true freshmen definitely feels like, you know, very guard-centric with players like Erin and Grace. What have you seen from them and what they can bring to the table, and what kind of opportunities do you see them getting as the season goes on? Yeah, I mean, so 3 of our 4 players are freshmen are international. All 4 of them, though, have lived away from home prior to coming to Colorado, which is very unique for freshmen, and has really brought like a very mature freshman class to Colorado. So a lot of the things that we typically will deal with freshmen, we haven't had to worry about, you know, just some of the stuff that comes with being away from home for the first time. And so that's been really great for us. Grace is really playing more of the forward spot this year. So Erin and Lova playing more on the perimeter, Grace and Tabs playing a little bit more inside. But all of them are athletic. They're great learners. Like, they really can take what you're trying to coach them and try to apply it, and just very hungry. So I would expect everyone will have an opportunity to play this year, you know, and just have to pour into getting better and better each day, as freshmen do all across the country.
Coach, it seems like the Shelly Sheets thing has worked out okay. Bianca Smith, what kind of role, what kind of contribution do you want from her? Yeah,
Bianca's been awesome. You know, she's only been here since June, maybe end of June, and has just brought, I mean, anytime you talk to Shelly, you can see she just bleeds black and gold. Bianca's the exact same way. So even before she was here, she was watching our games. She was, you know, her group of alumni that still connect and talk, you know, were very invested in what we were doing here. And so she has a passion for this place that's very hard to match. She has a tremendous skill set as a coach on the court and off the court. She's one that does a great job, you know, as a connector. So she spends a lot of time with our players and, you know, just supporting them and helping them sort of figure out a game plan for achieving their goals. And it's just a great basketball mind. So we're going to use her and need her in a lot of different ways.
Jerry, I'm going to assume that Kendall and Frida have probably cemented starters going into Sunday as you open the season. Do you have any idea, you know, can you say right now kind of what your starting lineup would look like beyond those 2?
I cannot, no. I mean, we did a close scrimmage on Saturday this past weekend, and I didn't tell them who was starting until we walked out to start. So I mean, I would think we'll, again, rely on veterans a lot. But we also, as someone else mentioned, have a lot of players that have started a lot of games at some good schools. So no, I don't have a starting lineup yet.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you guys.
All right, thanks everybody.